It's that time of year again. Everyone knows that the holidays can become overwhelming quickly, so the sooner you get things done, the better. For both shoppers and businesses, the best time to score great deals during the holidays is Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, from household names to entrepreneurs who are participating in their first Black Friday, Cyber Monday this year. This Black Friday, join thousands of new entrepreneurs hearing for the first time with Shopify. Sign up for your free trial today at shopify.com/promo. That's shopify.com/promo. Go to shopify.com/promo and make this Black Friday one to remember.
Shaq here, spinning fast-acting pain relief with Icy Hot. Ice works fast, heat makes it last. Icy Hot, you're so back.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift.
Woo!
Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
Hello and welcome to The Price of Football, the show that looks at the money. Oh, we're keeping that in. Well done. What's upset Finley?
Oh, Emma the dog walker's just turned up.
Oh, I see. So that was an exciting dog walker.
Oh, he's very giddy. Yes, he loves her to bits.
Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted by Finley, our resident Blackburn Rovers fan. Welcome to The Price of Football, the show that looks at the money behind the beautiful game with me, Kevin Day, and Liverpool University's Kieran Maguire. How are you, Kieran, apart from dog-free for the next hour?
I'm very good, yes. The Scotland game last night was just brilliant. I mean, this is why we love the game so much. That last 10 minutes of that match, you can pack in sort of the equivalent of 26 episodes of Slow Horses in terms of tension and unpredictability.
Well, I mean, two extraordinary games if you count the Wales game against a really good North Macedonia team, but the first and last goals in that Scotland game were incredible. Yeah,
just brilliant. And as somebody that knows Scott McTominay, everything I hear about him, he's a thoroughly nice young man as well as proving to be a very underrated footballer, and he's getting the sort of the hero worship that he probably deserves now in Napoli.
A friend of mine edits a newspaper in Scotland, and he sent me a photograph of the open-top bus that his newspaper have commissioned, which I think an open-top bus in Scotland is optimistic on many levels, especially this time of year. Yes. But no, it was amazing, and let's hope that Donald Trump doesn't ruin the World Cup by trying to move it to his golf course. Essentially,
well, he's got a golf course in Scotland, to be fair.
Oh, that's true. He has. He's less welcome there than he is in the one in his own state, Florida, isn't it? Morrow, wherever it is. That was a start to the pod I wasn't expecting. A bit of football chat and a bit of dog barking. That's lovely. But it's Newsday, Kieran. What we should be saying is that we had a really nice time together last night at Brighton, but we're recording this on the morning before we go to Brighton. So let's just assume it's lovely to see you last night, Kieran. Very sweet.
Yes.
Are you bringing Finley? Did you bring Finley?
Oh, probably not.
Good,
I'm not quite sure what the rules are. Because there is designer food available, he might help himself to a quinoa burger, which won't necessarily go down too well.
No, he won't like that. He's a proper carnivore.
He is.
I'm glad he's not coming, didn't come, because he's a proper attention grabber. Yes. It's hard enough getting a look in when you're there, but with Finley's there as well. It's night, and we've got some interesting news stories, Kieran. The first one being very good news for lawyers in France.
Absolutely. Young Kylian Mbappe is suing Paris Saint-Germain for approximately £230 million. And football club Paris Saint-Germain are suing Kylian Mbappe for £211 million. This is due to him not deciding to want to go to play his career in Saudi Arabia. And they say, well, if you'd gone, we would have picked up a very big transfer fee. At the same time, Kylian Mbappe is suing for lack of loyalty payments and an ill treatment, Kevin. Ill treatment from the multimillionaire. He said that when he said he was not going to extend his contract, and he gave them advance notice of this, they effectively made him train by himself. He wasn't involved in pre-season activities. He wasn't in the squad for the first match, and that upset him. So yes, the lawyers are having an absolute field day on this. So the court case, I believe, has started now in Paris. It's expected to take around about 3 weeks, and then, of course, I don't anticipate an instant verdict. We will have to await the outcome, but it does seem incredible sums of money, given that it just involves a single football player.
I first saw the news this week that it's going to court on the TalkSport Twitter feed. I don't spend as much time on Twitter as I used to, Kieran, because I value my sanity as I get older. But I thought I'll scroll down from this story on TalkSport to see where the sympathy of the good listeners of TalkSport lie, because they're a good cross-section of the football fan, and the sympathy lies with neither of them. But it's essentially, and I think it's an attitude shared by most people, just horrified that two mega rich entities are trying to make themselves mega richer by throwing these accusations at each other. And no one cares who comes out the winner in this. And you always think both of their reputations will be damaged. Not that they'll mind if they're 220 odd million euros better off. But it's slightly unsettling. It leaves a slightly queasy taste in the stomach, Kieran, doesn't it?
It's not jumpers for goalposts.
No.
But I think we have to accept that in 2025, the game that you and I grew up with is a completely different vehicle. And there is always somebody trying to persuade one party or both parties that they have been wronged, and therefore there is some form of financial redress available. And if somebody came to me and says, "Yeah, Kevin's been bitching about you behind your back. He's been saying that you don't understand amortisation," I go, "I wasn't expecting that." He says, "Yeah, I think we all should sue for defamation." I go, "Well, I'm not really interested." He says, "Yeah, millions involved." I go, "Well, you never know." It's, when as soon as they start quoting telephone numbers in your ear, some of these lawyers, you go, "Well, I'll just try it." It's a bit like these claims management companies, which you see bombarding the airwaves left, right, and centre. It's a strange world in which we live in.
It would be an even stranger world, Kieran, if I ended up in court trying to defend myself against claims that I'd say you didn't understand amortisation, because that case would collapse as soon as the judge said, "Well, Mr. Day, would you mind defining amortisation for me?" Sorry, Your Honour, we didn't think this one through. The UK government, it's fair to say, Kieran's not having a particularly good press at the moment, but here's something, and I don't know whether this is coincident with the appointment of a regulator, but here's something that would make them, I think, very popular with football fans.
Yes, and not just football fans. The UK government, and I think this has been headlined for some time, but it now seems to be crystallising. They are planning to bring in a bill which will ban the resale of match tickets for a profit. And it won't just be match tickets, it'll be tickets for all events. Now, the reason for this is that, as we have seen with Oasis, and presently for me, I'm desperate to go and see Radiohead, but the prices being quoted are in excess of £500. There is a new type of ticket tout, and it is a digital ticket tout. There are organisations that use bots, that use algorithms to, when an event is announced, they will try to hoover up as many of the tickets as possible, and then they will advertise them on the likes of StubHub and Viagogo and Vivid Seats and all of the other ticket sites, with a view to flipping the price and selling to people at a much higher figure. And then the ticket agencies, they lob on their 20 or 30% as well. And the ultimate price paid by the punter goes up. So the government has said you can resell tickets, but you can only resell them at face value. The response of the ticketing agencies is, I think, predictable. First of all, StubHub, its share price fell by 14% because this would impact upon A, I think, their market share, and B, of course, upon their commission. If they're getting 30% of or 25% of face value compared to 25% of an inflated price, then that's going to reduce the potential money coming to them. The response of Viagogo, and for complete transparency, I've got some skin in the game with Viagogo because I bought a ticket from them for a concert last year with their ticket guarantee. And their ticket guarantee is worthless because they don't guarantee you a ticket. They simply say that you'll get your money back. But if you've travelled to a venue, then that's completely disregarded. So I think that the guarantee is offered. But what Viagogo are saying was that when this ruling was introduced, I think in Australia, what it did is that it took custom away from the likes of StubHub and Viagogo, who are they are legal ticket touts, and has driven it into the hands of people who use Facebook and Twitter and other forms of social media to try to make money. And I think that is a genuine concern as well. But then it comes down to us as potential consumers. Don't be a mug. And you can normally spot a mile away, but the number of people that do get defrauded is quite considerable. My concern is that people will find a workaround as for this, and what they will do is they say, right, Radiohead ticket, it's £100 if you bought it from the O2. If you buy it from Viagogo, we can't sell you. You can have it for £100, but nobody's willing to sell them for £100. Instead, for £500, we're going to offer you a Radiohead experience, and you get the ticket and perhaps a lanyard or a burger for £500, and therefore, saying it's the other £400 for your burger. And people will pay that. So I don't think it's going to be an easy piece of legislation to implement. I think there are broader issues in terms of ticket touting. But I always admire our very good friends at Glastonbury. You don't tend to get ticket touting at Glastonbury because they seem to have it sussed. So why have venues and football clubs not been able to introduce something which prevents this? Is it a lack of willingness, or is it simply too prohibitive, or are there other explanations?
I think the Oasis tour kind of focused people's attention on this to an extent because people, I think in the past, have always said, there's always going to be touts, there's always going to be somebody who gets a couple of tickets. But that really highlighted the extent to which touting, for want of a better word, was going on, the professional scale of it all. And we know that clubs like Arsenal and Liverpool, for example, have got departments dedicated to preventing these bots. But we know people at both clubs who say it's very difficult because the people who are doing this, applying for these tickets using umpteen bots, are professional criminals, essentially. Exactly. And they're very, very good at using the internet. So it's very hard to catch up. Would this also include for example, I'm going to be away with Ali on her birthday, so I'm missing the Palace Man United game. Now, not that I would do so, but if someone said to me, that, "Can I have your ticket?" And I say, "Yeah, £5 more." Would this go down to that level?
In theory, but it's the equivalent of driving at 31 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone.
Yeah.
Conceptually, it is a breach of the rules, but the practicality is to try to target those organisations who are making thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds from individual venues and individual events. So I think giving it to your neighbour and he'll say, "Oh, I'll buy you a pint," or I'll give you an extra £5. Thanks very much, because I really wanted to go to this one. You need to have somebody reporting you.
Yeah, if anyone at Sellers Park is listening to this, by the way, that was a theoretical situation I was describing. Should it happen in practice, I would, of course, release my ticket through the official resale site of Crystal Palace Football Club. Let's make that plain. We've talked a lot about the possibilities of salary caps and luxury taxes recently, Kieran, as an alternative to various PSR regulations. But it's getting a bit complicated with the EFL and League One.
Yes. We've said from day one of this show that the basket case of European football from a financial point of view has been the EFL Championship. And I maintain that. But with losses there of around about averaging £400,000 a week, it is only sustainable provided owners pick up the phone each week when they get a begging call from the finance director. When you need to send some money over because we need to pay this month's wages. And to be fair to the vast majority of the owners, as we know, that they have delivered on that. And I don't think they go into owning a football club anything other than wide-eyed and aware of the potential circumstances. Sometimes they get bored, and or sometimes they run out of money. And we've seen the consequences at Derby and Sheffield Wednesday and Wigan and so on. But League One, and I've got my spreadsheet in front of me, League One used to be not great, but losses were averaging, until about 2 or 3 years ago, around about 20 grand a week.
Right.
But those losses in the past 2 or 3 seasons have absolutely shot up. So I did a report for somebody, and the average losses in League One, based on my spreadsheet for day-to-day losses, is now in excess of £100,000 a week.
Whoa.
And club owners have said some people can afford to do that, but we can't. And as a consequence of that, I think there has been a desire to address this. And there's 2 things to focus on when you're looking at profits and losses: the money coming into the club and the money going out. Now, the money going into the club, you can't accelerate. The TV deal set in stone. That front of shirt deal for the local car dealer, there is a going rate for it, and you're not unless you are Wrexham Football Club, you're not going to get a global brand coming in to want to be your front of shirt sponsor. Ticket prices, if you stick them up, who's going to turn up on a Tuesday night in February when you're 14th and the opposition is 17th? So I think clubs are aware of the issue. So therefore, some club owners want to go down the route of having a salary cap. There was a proposal, I don't know where this number came from, of keeping it at or having a salary cap of £4.7 million. Now, 3 years ago, they were proposing a salary cap of 2.5 million. So it's almost doubled since then. And when they tried for the 2.5 million, our good friend of the show, Nick DeMarco, acted on behalf of the PFA. And very quickly, that was knocked into the long grass. But it has now come back, and in addition to that, a luxury tax. Now, I've always been in favour of luxury taxes on the grounds that it's your money. How you choose to spend it is up to you. If you want to spend above a certain amount, then you will be penalised. And I think this luxury tax proposal was going to be 100%. I think I'd suggested setting it higher.
Yeah.
So it really does act as a deterrent. But ultimately, we're squabbling. So that has come from some of the clubs, but it looks as if the EFL itself is not keen on that. I think they are aware that there would be opposition from the PFA, and I think they are more concerned about trying to get a resolution to their ongoing beef with the Premier League over the distribution of money. It has to be said, there's a really good interview with the independent regulator David Cogan in The Athletic in their podcast. We will endeavour to get David to come on The Price of Football. Perhaps an Ask the Regulator show I think would be beneficial for all stakeholders, given that it was a fan-led review which led to the creation of the regulator. And he's saying we do not want to have to get involved in the distribution deal, but it does look from the outside is that there's no progress being made.
Yeah.
The Premier League clubs are simply digging their heels in, and they know that every year that goes forward when a deal is not agreed is more money for them and less money from the EFL. So self-interest of the Premier League here is driving the lack of resolution. That's the frustration.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now, only on Peacock.
Should League One clubs decide amongst themselves, vote amongst themselves, and the majority decide amongst themselves to introduce a salary cap and a luxury tax? Would the EFL be able to veto that? They're not going to want completely different financial regulatory rules in one division to the other two divisions, are they?
Well, there is already a distinct difference between the Championship and League One. So there's no reason why it couldn't be. Ultimately, the EFL is a members' club, and if the members vote to change the rules, then the executive have to go along with that. I think the executive are very wary, and they are fully aware that there is likely to be a legal challenge of some form should club owners opt to go down that route. So I suspect that they will be counselling owners to say, look, A, we don't think it's going to work, and B, somebody's have to go and pay the legal fees.
Yeah, I wonder two things as well, Kieran. I'm just interested to know whether if they've doubled the potential salary cap since the last time. I wonder if they think, well, this is a figure that the PFA can't quibble with. That surely the PFA can. And I wonder whether as well they waited until Wrexham and Birmingham were out of League One, because they would have been reluctant. They wouldn't have gone along with this, would they? I mean, they may have been outvoted, but they would have been very unhappy, I would imagine, with a 4.7 million salary cap, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. I mean, I've got the salaries of clubs in front of me. This is from 2024. Derby had a wage bill of 17 million.
Wow.
So that's 3.5 times.
Wow.
We've got Reading, we're at 14. You've got Wigan, Barnsley, Charlton, Oxford United, all above 10.
Wow.
So I'm looking at all of them here. And the only club that was below 4.7 million was Carlisle United, and they were relegated.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, Kieran, hats off for having those figures in front of you. But of course, you had those figures in front of you. You're like some kind of cyborg. I just see your eyeballs roll around and the right figures come up. Well, speaking of League One, Kieran, and
snowing.
What?
It's snowing.
Is it?
Yeah.
You don't think the gig might be snowed off last night?
I hope not. I do live quite high up, but even so...
Couldn't be more jealous. You've got a dog and you've got snow. Oh, my God. If you tell me now you've got an open fire, have you?
I have, yeah.
Oh, something's gone badly wrong. Why did I go down that terrible dead-end career route? This story about AFC Wimbledon, Kieran, for the old romantics, is quite a sad one, actually, isn't it, really, I think?
It is, and effectively, and I presume producer guy's done this deliberately, it links in to the issues of being a League One club. AFC Wimbledon have put out a public announcement, and remember we've had people from AFC Wimbledon on the show talking about the challenges, and we've said on numerous occasions that there is a natural ceiling for a fan-owned club, which I think, in my view, is League One. But AFC Wimbledon have said that the current structure of being a fan-owned club is not sustainable, and they are in talks with investors to sell a minority stake at the club. Now, I think this will make some AFC Wimbledon fans a bit twitchy, and that's due to the history of the club, in that it was sold to effectively a single owner, and that led indirectly to the relocation. So there is concern amongst the fan base. What I think has to be done here, and I have been in conversations with the secret potential Womble about this, that any potential owner has to align, I think, with the values of the club. So I think there would be a reluctance amongst the current shareholders, who are mainly the fans, to give a share of the club, and it would be a minority share. So you'd be getting a maximum of 49%. In terms of what are the aims and ambitions of AFC Wimbledon going forwards. And if you can get that in an alignment, then I think you can have the benefit of an owner or a minority owner who has an understanding of business, who has access to capital, who can improve things as far as the club is concerned. And also make the club more competitive on the pitch as well. And trying to ride those two horses together, the business side of football and the football side of football, is quite challenging.
Wombles are quite secretive anyway, aren't they?
They are.
And also, I'm not going to say this out loud, but I many, 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 many years ago, when I had this relationship with an American girl who was a student here, and even back then, I fancied myself as a tour guide. So I said, I'll take you anywhere in London. I'll show you the history. She went, I'd really like to go to Wimbledon Common and try and see some Wombles. It's like you kind of go, I don't know how to deal with this. You think, should I tell her the truth? Or, on the other hand, should I take her to a common? I said, well, we'll go to Wimbledon Common. But I tell you, they're really secret. The chances of seeing one, really, we did see a squirrel out the corner of our eyes. Missed it.
Scurried away.
A couple of things here, Ken. I mean, first of all, presumably this will have to be approved by the fans. I'm guessing, won't it? But also, what was odd that in the statement, and I understood what the statement was saying and what they're asking for, and they're saying they're looking for a minority owner who would share the values of the club, etc. And they said, I think they're the 23rd smallest playing budget, but they are 7th. Yeah. They're holding their own in that division, which I think has come as a surprise. I've got a lot of friends who support AFC. They weren't expecting to do this. So they're doing all right. So do you think this is perhaps a sign of ambition, that they think, well, we could be heading for the championship and there it definitely wouldn't be sustainable there, so let's try and prepare for that now?
I think they're a very attractive proposition to an investor. You've got the London factor.
Yeah.
You've got the crazy gang history factor.
Yeah.
They have won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Not everybody in this conversation
No.
can say that.
No.
As I suspect you will be reminding the people attending the gig at Brighton. And there is an element of there is a romantic story surrounding. First of all, you and I are old enough to remember the non-league days of Wimbledon Football Club. Dickie Guy, that was huge in the playground.
Yeah,
when that happened. So I think there is a story, and I think that's attractive to investors, especially those investors who do perhaps have some broad alignment with the romance of football, as opposed to looking at football as purely an extension of the entertainment industry. So I think it's something where you can get the new owners involved, and yes, they can then provide the additional capital which can assist a promotion push. And then once they get there, and I'm not being disrespectful to Rotherham, because we had a fantastic night out in Rotherham. Rotherham's ambition was to finish fourth bottom of the championship. And if they achieved that, that was absolutely fantastic. But they knew the chances of achieving that 2 or 3 times were pretty remote, and that's always proven to be the case.
Sorry, King.
And I think that's where we are. I think a new owner, a new minority owner, if they provide the additional funds, could push on. We've seen that with Luton, for example. We've seen that with Huddersfield, and could therefore AFC Wimbledon once again be in the Premier League. As a fan-owned club, I think the chances are close to zero.
Yeah.
With a different environment, I think that could be increased. Is that what the fans want? Is a separate question.
Yeah. I was at Selhurst Park for the replay against Leeds, Wimbledon Leeds.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's still the third highest ever attendance so it was about 48,000 people. It was incredible.
Amazing.
It was an incredible story. Dickie Guy saving penalties, all sorts of things. I'd be interested to hear from AFC Wimbledon fans about what they want, because I wonder whether at some stage the sheer romance of still having a club to support, a club that's done so well, whether that wears off in the end and you do start to become a fan who wants to win something. I mean, because they've achieved incredibly so far. Most importantly, they've got themselves back almost on the footprint of Plough Lane. But I wonder when that ceases to be enough, especially with a new generation of fans coming through who didn't live through the 20 years of turbulence and turmoil. And speaking of turbulence and turmoil, we kind of chuckled about the idea of a couple of referees in Turkey having betting sites, but it's kicked off. It's gone Pete Tong, Kieran, isn't it, in Turkey?
Yes, over 1,000 players have been formally suspended by the Turkish FA as Turkeygate, Betgate, whatever we want to call it, expands with regards to the placing of betting by players on matches. Now, I know that the article I read said it included players from Galatasaray and Besiktas. I believe, according to some Turkish sources that have been in contact, that I think the Galatasaray players have now been cleared. But fair play to the Turkish FA. It is one of those leagues where the fans are very passionate, and I think the fans are entitled to believe in the integrity of the game. And if that was being compromised in any way, shape, or form, and ironically, we've just been talking about Wimbledon, and the Wimbledon players used to openly admit that they would place bets on who got the first throw-in, and they would deliberately kick the ball out.
Yeah,
and that didn't impact upon the result. But those type of things were done. But this could be more serious. I do think, as far as the integrity of the game is concerned, you cannot place bets on football if you're a football player. There's loads of other ways to gamble. If that's your urge, if that's how you enjoy spending your time and leisure and money, we're not being judgmental, but the game is more important. And Turkish football has had a cloudy reputation at times, and certainly I know from I can't reveal the person, but a well-known footballer turned manager was telling me about being a manager not far away from Turkey, where results were organised in advance. So I think trying to preserve that integrity is absolutely essential.
The trouble with that Wimbledon story, which they, as you say, they openly admitted to, it then, in retrospect, casted a bit of a shadow on some strange results that club had. In particular, Everton staying up. With hindsight, you start to stroke the chin, and you think, in general, it's better if you don't bet at all, as you say.
Yeah.
And also, as you say, hats off to the Turkish FA, but over 1,024 footballers suspended here, and that's 50 whole squads. I mean, this almost seems like a switch it on and switch it off again, switch it off and switch it on again moment. It's almost like you need a total reset in Turkish football.
Yes, and I think people will have to be made an example of. Otherwise, if this investigation says, everybody's okay, all in the clear, then I think Turkish fans and you've only got to look at some of the pronouncements coming from Turkish football clubs, especially following matches in which they've lost. The accusations involving the integrity of referees has been called into question by clubs.
Yeah.
And having referees with betting accounts will only add further fuel to the fire. I say Turkish fans, and I've got a lot of time for Turkey. They are very, very committed, very, very passionate, and this is not going to help the reputation every time a decision goes against them or a result goes against them.
Yeah.
For those people that believe that the players aren't perhaps putting in 100%.
Now, as one South Coast club owner is investing in Edinburgh football, another one is divesting in Edinburgh football.
That's right, and I think there are certain echoes here with Palace's experience with John Textor. Yeah, just because you've got a new investor doesn't necessarily mean things are going to work out. So this is Bill Foley of the Black Knights organisation. He currently is the owner of Bournemouth, and a couple of years ago he bought 25% of Hibs. And I think the view at the time, it wasn't going to be an MCO as such, but there was going to be closer links between Bournemouth and Hibs. But there was a majority owner in the form of the Gordon family. I think it's fair to say the relationship has not worked out. From reading some of the Scottish newspapers, I think that Black Knights wanted to have greater involvement in decision making. There was pushback on that, and as a minority shareholder, you do have a minority ability to make decisions change. So, as a consequence of that, he's sold his shares back to the Gordon family. I don't think there's been any significant money made. I think he bought them for $6 million. I can't see him being able to sell them for much more than that, and has decided to focus on Bournemouth, which, to be fair, is you can understand. They're having a fantastic season.
Yeah,
and their ability to sell and buy players has been very, very impressive in recent years. So they clearly have got a special sauce there when it comes to player recruitment, and are doing extremely well on the back of that.
The Black Knights sound like they should have won New Faces in 1976. Yes. And before anyone tweets in, I know about the Baron Knights as well. Don't worry. I mean, good news for Chelsea, Kieran. Struggling for cash, but they might be getting a little bit more coming in.
That's right. They are apparently on the verge of signing a front of shirt deal with the tech company Oracle. And Oracle are proper blue chip. Certainly Chelsea have had eyebrows raised at some of their recent shirt deals. The one with the Dubai property company, which seemed to be for 1 or 2 games. The deal that they had with Whalefin, which turned out to be a disaster. I don't think they got fully paid on that. The one with Infinite Athlete never seemed to make sense for a startup company. But Oracle are blue chip. I think Chelsea were on the back of winning the FIFA Club World Cup. They were looking for somewhere in the region of 60 to 70 million. My sources tell me that the reaction of sponsors to the FIFA Club World Cup is pretty much like the reaction of most football fans. Nah.
Oh, okay.
And therefore, from what I'm hearing, is that the price is around about £40 million. Still significant. Still will make a positive contribution. But I think the hopes of Chelsea to generate a very high price have not materialised. And I think that is reflected in the fact that nobody talks about the Club World Cup, whereas we are all talking about Champions League. And of course, we're all talking about international football because what we've seen in the past few days.
Yeah. We spoke extensively about ticket touting earlier, Kieran. UEFA, along with the UK government, have also made a stand, drawn a line in the sand.
That's right. Whilst FIFA have gone down the route of being the official ticket tout of the FIFA World Cup through 2 methods. First of all, dynamic pricing, following the Oasis model, where you think you're going to buy a ticket for 150 quid and it will cost you 250 quid. So that is something which they had used when the second tranche of tickets were up on sale. But also, FIFA were going to become the official reseller of tickets and take 25%, whereby if you wanted to buy a ticket for the final, you pay what the going rate is, and you pay FIFA a commission for finding you that ticket as well. UEFA has said that's not for us. We've got Euro 2028 taking place in the UK, and we're very excited about that. But this is the price. This is what you pay. We're not going to mess you around. And I think UEFA deserve to be commended for that. Now, it could be that as a result of that, the prices are going to be higher than perhaps we would have anticipated.
Yeah.
But certainly having seen FIFA's prices in the first tranche, they were far in excess of expectations. Didn't stop them from being sold.
Do you think UEFA are simply doing the right thing here, or is there an element of politicking, of showing FIFA that there is a correct way of doing things?
There is no love lost between UEFA and FIFA. So I think FIFA are trying to take a principled stand on this. I think they're also acknowledging that there will be, whilst you expect all tickets to sell, it's going to be to European fans as opposed to worldwide fans. So therefore there is going to be a smaller pool of people attending. And that will be reflected in the prices. But I think they also know that they will come in for an awful lot of stick. Everybody that stood up for UEFA when Super League was being bandied about and saying, look, FIFA are not perfect, but they're the good guys. Saying, well, perhaps they weren't such good guys as we thought that they were previously. So I think this is good. It's transparent. It's upfront. It means that if you do apply for tickets, you know in advance what it is going to cost you, and you can go on from there.
UEFA in transparent upfront shock.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in ooh, crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back in Disney's Freakier Friday, now streaming on Disney+.
We switched bodies.
I am freaking out right now. I think I just peed a little.
It's an absolute riot.
Ah!
and the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time. What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
Disney's Freakier Friday, now streaming on Disney Plus, rated PG.
Good news, Kieran, for former Tottenham owner Joe Lewis this week.
Yes, Joe Lewis was found guilty of insider trading by the US authorities, and I think he had to pay a substantial fine. This was as a result of, it looks broadly, again, we appreciate we've discussed this before, that instead of perhaps giving tips in the form of the way that you tip a waiter or the way you tip a taxi driver, he gave tips to pilots of his private aircraft, other members of staff, and assorted lady friends, whatever that means, in the form of, I think you should go and buy these shares in this company, Gov, to which perhaps he had information which was not in the public domain, and therefore people could make a financial killing from that. But he has now received a presidential pardon from the President of the United States, Donald Trump. This means that he can visit the United States, which he wasn't able to do before. We don't know what has caused this pardon to be given. Joe Lewis is a senior citizen. He's well into his late 80s. But from a footballing point of view, his relationship with Spurs did seem to be rather strange, that he was always perceived as being the majority shareholder via a trust. Then Spurs said, Joe who? Never heard of him. He sort of effectively got airbrushed out of the history of the club. Yeah. But the intriguing thing for me now is that Spurs possibly are up for sale. We don't know. Does this mean that Joe Lewis could buy Spurs Football Club?
Oh.
Because if you take a look at the owners and directors test, A, have you got the money? Yeah, he's got the money. B, can you give proof of funds? You can get proof of funds. He's located in the Bahamas. And C, do you have any outstanding convictions? Well, if he's been given a presidential pardon, where does the outstanding conviction stand?
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I would suspect that it would allow him, theoretically at least, to throw his hat into the ring should he want to return to Spurs.
That's a good conspiracy theory, that one, Kieran. We should run with that. Yeah, it's always difficult to know what goes through the mind of Donald Trump and why he's given Joe Lewis a pardon. But if Donald Trump subsequently makes a killing on the stock market, then that might be a clue. Might be a little clue. You never know. We end, Kieran, with a sad story for another fan-owned team. They've been under the cosh a little bit recently off the pitch, and even more so now, unfortunately.
Yes. I was about to say it never rains but it pours, but actually, if it had been pouring down in rain, we wouldn't be having this conversation. This is Exeter City. And they had a fire at the stadium. And football stadiums and fires, we've seen quite a few during our lifetime. And it's not something you'd expect to happen. But the ground has been damaged by fire. I think there's £100,000 of damage caused. How they're covered by the insurance isn't looking necessarily great because insurance people that come round to check an event, they're a bit like garage owners when you take your car and you got a funny noise.
Yeah.
And, they pull there, they suck in the teeth. I'm not sure this is covered by clause 17.2, mate. So I'm not sure we can pay out on this. So as a result of that, they have set up a GoFundMe campaign. If anybody wants to contribute to that, just go to GoFundMe, type in Exeter City. I believe that they've generated well over £30,000 to date. So if anybody does want to contribute to assist, and we are romantically and philosophically aligned with clubs such as Exeter City. Yeah. We do not want the club to suffer any more than it has done. The other stuff which has taken place at the club, which we've covered in other podcasts, really is not good at all.
We've had conversations, Kieran, with people at lower league clubs where, to my surprise, at least, they said that the level of insurance cover was an annual question for them financially, because yes, they want to be covered for every eventuality, but it's very, very, very expensive. So there are clubs out there who are gambling on things like this not happening. So we don't know the level of Exeter City's insurance company, but there are certainly clubs that we've spoken to whom this would be a disaster, because they probably have taken the decision not to pay out money they haven't got on the full insurance cover, which is a sad reflection. When we're talking about clubs in League One losing that amount of money every year, and yet we know clubs in League One who are not 100% fully insured because they can't afford it, they claim.
Yeah, and that's always a gamble with insurance. Insurance premiums are rising. As you know, I spent last week in Portugal and Spain, and I was talking to an insurance broker who is saying that premiums there, because of changes in climate, are going through the roof.
Oh wow!
Because they're getting wildfires during the summer, and it's a genuine concern.
Don't forget, you can now join our Price of Football Club, where you'll get ad-free listening, bonus episodes, and much, much more. Just go to priceoffootball.com and click on Join the Club to sign up today. If you have a question you'd like answered on our weekly question show, email us at questions@priceoffootball.com. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter and you can find us on YouTube. And if you'd like to buy our book, go back to that same website, priceoffootball.com. We'll be back on Tuesday with our regular questions pod, or we'll be back on Friday.
We'll be back on Friday, because we've got an interview.
Which has already been out for our Price of Football Club members, which is a very, very lively interview with Spencer Gore, the owner of Chelmsford City. Again, we're on a winning streak with interviews recently, Kieran, because he was fascinating. I like it when you ask a simple question and they suddenly give you insight you weren't expecting to get. And you try and keep your face straight, and you don't want to indicate, are you sure you want to tell us this? But yeah, so we're back on Friday, for those of you who haven't joined the club. And then we'll be back on Tuesday with our questions pod. So in the meantime, I shall hand you over to Mr. Kieran Maguire for his customary farewell.
Well, thank you to everybody for the support of the show, and to our guests as well, the likes of Spencer.
Yeah.
It is very illuminating, and also I found it quite inspirational. The last Harry and Spencer, people who are sort of local lads who want to invest in their local club because of the difference it makes, because of the smiles that it puts on people's faces, is at a time when life's pretty tough. These people are great. There's various ways you can support the show, and I appreciate the club membership's one, but there's a zero cost alternative, and that is to give us a review. It genuinely helps us. It helps us too when we're in negotiations with sponsors and trying to get guests and so on. And they see, well, you've got lots of reviews. We quite like that idea. We've got quite a high average as far as those reviews. And putting a written review does apparently help us with various algorithms. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what you say. So you could even say you would rather have the show presented by Kevin's former girlfriend from the United States of America and Uncle Bulgaria, and we wouldn't mind one bit.
She would have. What do the Americans say? She would have lost her shit if she'd met great Uncle Bulgaria. With hindsight, perhaps I should have just hired a child to put on a little Womble costume just to make her happy. She was brought up with her dad reading her the stories, and she wanted to go and see a Womble. The idea of fiction just hadn't occurred to her, which in a way, Kieran, was a help, because she didn't check whether I was a minor member of the royal family either. So bye everybody.
Bye.
The Price of Football. The Price of Football.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.